Convenience is amazing. Seriously, you can order food, groceries, clothes, furniture, electronics, and probably emotional support within like 8 minutes now. You don't even need to leave your bed anymore. Human civilization basically looked at effort and said, absolutely not. But here's the problem nobody talks about. Convenience is expensive. Like, really expensive. And modern companies have figured out something terrifying. If you remove enough friction from spending money, people stop thinking before they buy things. That's why people will say, I need to save money, while paying 3 streaming subscriptions they forgot about, delivery fees that cost more than the actual meal, monthly app memberships they used once during an existential crisis at 1 a.m. And the craziest part? Most people don't even feel broke because of one giant financial mistake anymore. They slowly bleed money through convenience. So in this video, we're going to talk about why convenience is secretly draining people financially, how companies design systems to make spending effortless, why modern life trains people to avoid discomfort, and how tiny, easy purchases quietly become massive long-term losses. Because honestly, a lot of people are not broke because they're irresponsible. They're broke because modern life made spending money feel invisible. One of the biggest psychological changes in modern life is that buying things no longer feels like spending money. Think about how money used to work. You physically handed somebody cash. You watched the money leave your hands. Your brain felt the loss. Now, you tap your phone against a machine for 0.2 seconds like you're casting a spell in Harry Potter. And suddenly, coffee, lunch, groceries, random LED lights shaped like clouds, all disappear directly from your bank account with almost zero emotional resistance. That's friction. And companies hate friction because every extra second you spend thinking increases the chance you don't buy something. That's why everything became one-click ordering, auto renewals, save payment methods, buy now, pay later, instant delivery. Modern businesses are obsessed with making spending feel painless because painless spending creates more spending. And honestly, food delivery apps are probably one of the greatest examples of this. You open the app just to look. 30 minutes later, you somehow spent $42 on a burger, curly fries, a drink, and emotional support mozzarella sticks. And then the app asks, would you like to tip? Brother, I would like financial stability. But this is how convenience psychology works. The easier something becomes, the less your brain evaluates the decision. And over time, those tiny purchases become habits. That's the dangerous part, because habits don't feel expensive in the moment. They become expensive through repetition. Subscriptions are one of the smartest business models ever created. Not for you, for the companies. Because subscriptions turn forgetting into profit. And companies know most people don't track small recurring expenses carefully. That's why modern life became streaming subscriptions, music subscriptions, cloud storage subscriptions, fitness app subscriptions, meal subscriptions, productivity subscriptions, meditation subscriptions. At this point, your calculator app probably wants $14.99 a month and a blood sample. And individually, none of these feel that expensive. That's the trick. Nobody panics over $7.99, $11.99, $14.99. But when you stack 15 of them together, suddenly your bank account looks like it got attacked by mosquitoes with business degrees. And companies intentionally make cancellation annoying sometimes because they understand human psychology extremely well. People procrastinate discomfort. That's why canceling memberships, calling customer service, and changing subscriptions feels emotionally exhausting even when it saves money. Modern companies know convenience works both ways. Convenient to sign up, inconvenient to leave. And honestly, free trials are psychological warfare because companies know people massively underestimate future versions of themselves. Everybody says, oh, I'll remember to cancel. No, you won't. Future, you is fighting for survival already. Future, you barely remembers why you walked into the kitchen. Now to be fair, convenience itself is not evil. Sometimes paying for convenience makes complete sense. If somebody is overworked, exhausted, raising kids, balancing multiple jobs, convenience can genuinely improve quality of life. The issue is when convenience becomes automatic instead of intentional, because eventually people stop asking, is this worth it? And start asking, is this slightly easier? Those are very different questions. And honestly, modern life kind of trains people to avoid inconvenience at all costs. Waiting feels unbearable now. Boredom feels unbearable now. Effort feels unbearable now. People will literally pay extra money to avoid walking, to avoid cooking, to avoid learning things, to avoid patience, to avoid mild inconvenience for 8 minutes. Which sounds funny, but financially, that mindset compounds hard over time because convenience spending usually attacks the exact money people could have saved or invested. And the irony? A lot of convenience purchases don't even create lasting happiness. They create temporary relief. There's a difference. Temporary relief says, I don't want to deal with this right now. Real happiness usually comes from stability, peace, relationships, health, and freedom. Amazon Prime cannot overnight ship inner peace, unfortunately. Jeff Bezos is working on it, though, probably. One of the biggest financial mistakes people make is underestimating repeated spending, because the brain is terrible at visualizing long-term accumulation. People see, it's only $20, but they don't calculate $20 repeated constantly for years. That's why tiny habits quietly become huge outcomes. Let's say somebody spends $25 extra on delivery multiple times a week. Random impulse Amazon purchases, subscriptions they barely use, convenience fees everywhere. That can easily become hundreds every month, thousands every year. And over decades, potentially tens of thousands of dollars gone mostly toward avoiding inconvenience. And again, this isn't about becoming ultra-frugal and living like a financially traumatized cave monk. That's not realistic either. The point is awareness, because once spending becomes unconscious, people lose control over it. And modern apps are specifically designed to encourage unconscious spending, infinite scrolling, flash sales, push notifications. Only 2 left. Sale ends tonight. People are viewing this item. Meanwhile, the item is literally just a $63 candle that smells like Nordic confidence. But urgency bypasses logic. That's why emotionally tired people spend more money too. Decision fatigue lowers resistance. After a stressful day, your brain wants easy. That's why self-control is harder at night. Your exhausted brain starts negotiating like, honestly, we deserve 12 tacos. And sometimes, fair enough. But if emotional spending becomes constant, financial stress slowly follows. One thing people don't realize about convenience is that it slowly changes your tolerance for discomfort. And that matters financially way more than most people think. Because discipline is basically your ability to handle temporary discomfort without immediately escaping it. But modern life keeps removing discomfort everywhere. Hungry? Instant delivery. Bored? Infinite entertainment. Lonely? Endless scrolling. Need dopamine? Congratulations. Your phone contains an industrial-strength dopamine machine designed by people who understand your brain better than you do. And over time, people unintentionally train themselves to expect instant relief constantly. That's dangerous financially because wealth building usually feels delayed. Investing feels delayed. Saving feels delayed. Paying off debt feels delayed. Cooking at home instead of ordering food feels delayed. Almost every smart financial decision gives rewards later, but impulsive spending gives rewards now. And human brains love now. That's why companies spend billions trying to reduce waiting time by 3 seconds. Because impatience is profitable. Think about how aggressive modern convenience has become. Same-day shipping used to feel unbelievable. Now, if something takes 4 days, people react like, what is this, the Oregon Trail? Everybody wants everything immediately now. And honestly, that mindset leaks into money decisions too. People struggle to save because modern culture constantly trains people to prioritize immediate comfort, immediate pleasure, immediate stimulation over long-term stability. And social media makes delayed gratification feel even harder because while you're trying to budget, save, invest responsibly, you open your phone and see somebody your age in Dubai, driving a Lamborghini, drinking neon-colored smoothies on a yacht. Meanwhile, you're comparing coupon prices at Target, wondering if guacamole is financially irresponsible this week. That comparison destroys patience because people start feeling like smart financial progress is too slow, so they chase shortcuts instead, get rich quick schemes, risky investments, over-leveraging, fake online businesses, passive income courses from dudes named Braden wearing skin-tight suits for some reason. And the sad part? A lot of financial disasters start emotionally, not mathematically. People get impatient, embarrassed, insecure, behind, and impatience makes people vulnerable. That's why emotional control is secretly one of the most valuable financial skills possible. Not intelligence, not status, not even income sometimes, just the ability to pause before making impulsive decisions. Because, honestly, most wealth is built very slowly, while most debt is created very quickly. The craziest thing about convenience culture is that the biggest thing it steals might not even be money, it might be capability. Because the more people outsource every tiny inconvenience, the less resilient they become. People forget how to cook, budget, repair things, wait patiently, entertain themselves, tolerate boredom. And boredom used to create things. Now, boredom lasts 6 seconds before somebody opens TikTok. Modern life became incredibly optimized for comfort. But humans don't actually grow through endless comfort. They grow through challenge, effort, discipline, delayed gratification, which are basically the 4 horsemen of things nobody wants to hear anymore. And financially, delayed gratification is still one of the most powerful skills possible, because wealth building is often incredibly boring. It's usually consistency, restraint, patience, repeating small, smart decisions for years, which is way less exciting than how I made $400,000 dropshipping AI crypto water bottles. But boring usually works better. That's the frustrating part. At the end of the day, convenience itself isn't the enemy. Mindless convenience is. Because every time you spend money to make life slightly easier, you're making a trade. And sometimes that trade is worth it. Sometimes it absolutely isn't. The danger happens when people stop noticing the trade completely. Because modern companies are competing for one thing now, your impulse control. They want faster decisions, less thinking, automatic purchases, emotional spending, permanent subscriptions. And honestly, they've become incredibly good at it. That's why being financially smart today isn't just about math anymore. It's about awareness. Awareness of your habits, your emotions, your impulses, your environment, and the systems designed to influence you constantly. Because money disappears much faster when spending becomes frictionless. And unfortunately, modern life is becoming frictionless everywhere. So the real skill now is learning when convenience genuinely improves your life and when it's quietly stealing your future, one tiny purchase at a time. And if you made it this far, comment the most unnecessary thing you've ever bought purely because it was convenient. Mine is probably paying delivery fees for food that was literally a 5-minute drive away, which somehow felt too far after 8 p.m. Anyway, subscribe if you want more finance and psychology videos that explain modern life without sounding like a billionaire podcast hosted inside a spaceship. I'll see you in the next one.